Wondagurl is your favorite producer's favorite producer. Her sound is unmatched, and in this video, we're gonna see what makes her beats so special. First, let's listen to No Favors.
Everything lined up for the taking, and what I need from them, no favors.
Let's start with the melody. It was made by Francis Got Heat, a frequent collaborator of Wondagurl, and it begins before we even touch the piano roll with the BPM. So I set ours to 120 and started using this soft sine sound to create a dark melody. Notice how I'm using notes a semitone apart throughout the melody, and also some notes are slightly off-grid, adding to the bounce. All I added was a compressor to bring out the texture of the sound. After that, we have a similar sound playing the same chords in a lower octave. Next, the sample needed more texture, so I took inspiration from Stay Up by Casey and Lancey Foe.
Stay up for this. Stay up.
The melody uses harsh synth textures, so I added 2 to our beat. And finally, for the second section, I added a lead melody on top. Now that's done, let's look at how Wondagurl really does her signature drums. As you can see here, she uses fruity slicers to chop and speed up samples, so I did that with our sample. Sometimes it's hard to find good chops, so I clicked the random button, giving us something different every time. I also time stretched it to slow it down and pitched it up. To start the drums, I took inspiration from the second half of Thank God from Utopia.
Still no pressure.
Before the drop, there's a section with a snare roll in 808. To replicate something similar, I chopped up one of the perk loops from my Echoes kit. Next is the snare. A quick trick is to slightly nudge the snare off grid. I like to bring it in a bit earlier. To make it even more unique, I laid another snare on top with more high end, giving it that punch. Next, we have the hi-hats. On No Favors, Wondagurl mentions how she did slow hi-hats to match the slow feeling sample.
The sample kind of felt slow when I changed it up a bit, so I kind of tried to make the drums kind of slow.
So for our beat, I did a 4-step bounce rather than the usual 2-step, and also added in some rolls and low notes to further the bounce. To then accent those hats, I added another hi-hat and a perk. Wonder utilizes panning a lot, so each of these sounds are panned from side to side. Before adding the 808 and kick, I dropped in a fill from Echoes. And finally, of course, we have the low end elements. First, the kick. There's so much bounce already, so the kick is used very sparingly. Then I used a long subby 808, which is typical of Wondagurl's sound. Before moving on to the next beat, I wanted to add a switch up, something more fast paced like on Stay Up. First, I half-timed the sample, then I added an open hat and perk. Second to last, there's a perk loop, again from Echoes. 50 perk loops, 50 perk one-shots, 17 fills, and 10 bonus samples, all for just $19.99. Hit the link in the description. And to finish it all off, I added a shorter, more punchy 808 that hits more frequently. As well as her dark trap beats, Wondagurl has produced some incredible melodic songs, one being Company by Don Toliver.
I miss having your company.
The main element is this synth pad playing some melodic chords. Next, it needs a lead. Lots of her synth-based beats include a catchy lead melody. I then added another lead on top playing a different melody. This time I chose a video game style sound, like something you would hear on her Love is Rage 2 production. That's it for the melody. Now let's get into some more Wondagurl drum secrets. Again, I put the sample in Fruity Slicer and messed with the pitch, but I kept it in the same order. I then began with a snare, layering 2 sounds together. And to make it even more unique, I added an ambient perk instead of the 4th snare, which I got from the drums on Company. The delay effect you just heard is something you can hear on Feelings Mutual by Lil Uzi. Something else I got from Wondagurl's production on that album is a hi-hat bounce. She likes to use triplet steps to switch things up sometimes. However, if you do this for one drum element, you have to do it for all of them in that beat. For example, this snare. Now usually I'd move on to the 808, but on tracks like Company and How to Talk, there's a synth bass playing as well. Then I added a simple kick, again, very spaced out. And finally, an 808 utilizing the triplet bounce to create something really unique.